Hello, dear students. I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to a new lecture. As you know, we're starting with the second semester, and today we're studying writing, the descriptive writing mainly. Now, as you can see, this writing, descriptive writing, you take it to grade 7, 8, and 9. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify the elements of descriptive writing. You'll be able to distinguish between expository and descriptive writing. You will be able to use the sensory details and figures of speech in writing, mainly in the descriptive writing, and you'll be able also to write a well-organized descriptive essay. So first of all, what's the main idea or the main purpose of the descriptive writing? So the main purpose of descriptive writing is to describe. You either describe a person, a place, a thing, an experience in such a way that a picture is formed in the reader's mind. So let's say you went on a trip or you traveled somewhere and you're describing for the reader where you went, and you need to support the reader with so much description and details and, for example, sensory information about that place for the reader to be able to imagine that place with you and understand your experience, for example, whether you enjoyed your experience or not and how you felt. Also, the descriptive writing involves paying close attention to details, as I just said, by using all of your five senses: visual, auditory, sensual, for example, um, smelling, tasting. For example, you tasted something in that country or in that restaurant during your trip. You're describing that food specifically, for example. So you do use your five senses to try to describe and make that message and that experience more relatable to the reader. So what are the characteristics of a descriptive writing or the descriptive elements? All right. So first we use adjectives and adverbs. Obviously, because descriptive words add important details and make descriptive writing more interesting and colorful. So I use adjectives and adverbs because these words are adding details and they're making my description more interesting. So let's say, as I said again, the same example, you went on a trip, you traveled somewhere and totally different country, different culture. How would I enjoy reading your descriptive writing and feel your enjoyment in that experience without you showing me how interesting it was? And how could you show me? Using the words. All right. So, for example, when you say enormous flakes of snow fell peacefully from the sky, instead of saying snowflakes fell from the sky, nothing interesting, you say enormous flakes of snow fell peacefully from the sky, or the dark path felt suspiciously strange. So the dark path felt suspiciously strange. So the use here of the adjectives and the adverbs are making these details more interesting and colorful. Second, we use the figures of speech like simile, metaphor, and personification. So what is simile? Simile is when we compare two things using like or as. For example, when I say, her heart is like pure gold. So I'm comparing between her heart and the pure gold, and I'm using the word like. I'm making a comparison, which means that they're similar. Also, when I say he was as brave as a lion, so as also is used here to compare between a person and a lion in terms of bravery, in terms of being brave. So again, here too, I am comparing between two things. I'm showing a similarity. They're both brave. They both have, for example, or he or she has a heart like pure gold, which means it's so pure, you know. So this is similarly comparing two things using the words like or as. And then metaphor. Metaphor is speaking of one thing as if it were another. So mainly metaphor is also comparing two things, but I do not use like or as. Let me say this, for example, instead of saying her heart is like pure gold, I can say her heart is pure gold. So I am directly comparing these two things without writing like or as. So I'm directly writing that this is this. Of course, this is not this, like her heart is not gold, in fact, in real life. However, here it's a metaphor, and we are trying to compare her heart to pure gold, but we're trying to make our idea more strong. So we don't want to say it's like, we just say it is pure gold, you know? You're the moon, because I don't want to say, for example, you're like the moon. I want to say like you're the moon, as if you're the moon itself and beauty, you know. That is why it's metaphor. I'm still comparing two things showing a similarity, but I'm not using as or like. For example, also when I say he was a brave lion, also I'm making a comparison between the person and lion in terms of being brave. I want to show the idea with more strong or with stronger feelings, like that person is really brave, is really like a lion, you know. That's why we're not using like, and we're making it direct comparison. That's metaphor. And now we use to personification. From its name, personification, we're personifying something. So we're giving it the characteristic of a person, of a human. When I say the plants were, let's say, dancing. Now the plants do not dance. Humans can dance, for example. So here, I mean that the plants are moving in a, I don't know, nice way, you know. So, for example, when I say the flowers danced gleefully in the spring field, so personifying the flowers, I'm giving the flowers a personal characteristic, not mainly personal as me, the speaker, personal, which means it's humane. So humans do this act, which is dancing. Or when I say the sky poured its tears on the thirsty earth, so the sky rains, does not pour tears, you know. So only humans pour tears, and that's a characteristic that we're taking from humans and we're giving it to the sky. So this is personification. Now, the point is we use simile, metaphor, and personification, these figures of speech, these figures that make my speech, so my ideas that I'm writing, the things that I'm speaking about, more interesting, and the reader would be enjoying, and also the reader would be able to get all the details and even feel with me how I felt when I use these figures of speech to make the experience more clear and more relatable to the reader. We also have sensory details, as we mentioned before. So we use our senses, our five senses. I saw, I smelled this, you know, I tasted that delicious dish, for example. So we use these senses while describing our experience: touch, smell, sight, sound, and taste. For example, the freezing cold wind cut through their skin as they heard the loud thunder and saw the blinding lightning torching the sky. So, the freezing cold wind cut through their skin as they heard the loud thunder and saw the blinding lightning torching the sky. So, could you see these elements touching their skin? They heard it's loud, they saw blinding lightning. So all these are descriptions that are related to the senses, either touching, smelling, seeing something. And then this way, I, as a reader will be able to understand that detail and feel the experience with you and enjoy your descriptive writing. So the above elements add beauty to a text and make it more interesting to read. Now the framework of a descriptive essay. Now, like any other essay, a descriptive essay is made of three parts. The main parts, what are they? Introduction, body, and conclusion. And we know that in every introduction, there should be a hook, which attracts the reader's attention at the beginning, which is the first sentence of the introduction. And then we provide background information. For sure, this background information in the descriptive writing would be telling me about, if it's a trip, it would be telling me about trips, enjoying traveling to different places with different cultures, for example. And then the thesis statement, which is the last sentence, mainly in the introduction, and it tells me what this essay is about. What is it going to describe, for example? And then in the body, I describe the topic from different angles, from different perspectives, using descriptive words, sensory details, and the figures of speech. And then at the end, in the conclusion, I present my final point. It could be a summary of the topic, a summary of my experience and the things that I described. I also should give final impression of that experience, for example, and my feelings. Now we move on to the descriptive writing elements. Again, sensory details, what you hear, see, smell, touch, or taste. Descriptive words, for example, specific adjectives, specific adverbs, be, look, seem, verbs, for example, and we use no vague formulations. All right? So we make everything clear. We write our ideas clearly. And then your impression. So your feelings, your memories, your associations, figures of speech, similes, metaphors, and symbols. Now let's look at this prompt, all right? We have all been on a special trip that was memorable to us. So, for example, in a well-organized descriptive narrative essay, recount a time when you visited a certain exhibition, museum, ruins, handicraft workshop, etc. Depends on your experience. Describe your trip from the beginning to the end. Talk about your feelings during that time. Make sure you use figures of speech such as simile, metaphor, personification, and use sensory details. Fill in the chart below before you write your essay. So you fill this chart in this chart and then you write your essay. So first we have the title, a memorable day, for example, at the exhibition. And then the place, exhibition in our city, the time recently, characters, you, me, for example, sorry, and then people at the exhibition. And then the main attractions, what are the two main things or maybe more that attracted you? For example, two large halls inside the venue, stalls from different places displaying different handicrafts. You saw a beautifully made camel statue and you bought it as a gift for your mom. For example, in the second hall, there were different types of traditional food. You tasted the many of them. And as you can see already, we're using sensory information, tasting food, seeing a beautifully made camel statue. So you can see also the figures of, mainly not necessarily, figures of speech and the words that we're using. And you share feelings. How did you feel during that experience or after that trip? I'm glad to have had this great opportunity to visit the exhibition. I got to see unique art and crafts from my country. It made me understand my culture much better. So you decided on your topic, that place, that time, the characters, the main things that attracted you there, and the way you're writing them, you already know how it should be showing the details in a nice way. and how you felt about that experience. Now let's look at this model. So this is a descriptive writing model and the theme is handicrafts. The title is A Memorable Day at the Exhibition. An open exhibition was held in our city recently. I am very fond of visiting exhibitions, so I decided to visit it. It was a handcraft and handloom expo. Everybody took a keen interest in this show as local artisans from all over the country had participated in it. The exhibition was unique and highlighted the various cultures of our country. There were two large halls inside the venue. Each building contained stalls from multiple states where the participants displayed their best pieces of art. Some of the work was very pleasing to look at, like the potteries, handbags, textiles, shawls, handicrafts, paintings, hats, jewels, crafts, and etc. What I liked the most was a nice and beautiful camel statue made of clay displayed in the Rajasthan state stall. Rajasthan, which is a city in India, it was built so neatly with close attention to all the minute features that it looked just like a real life miniature camel. All right, so could you see here the description? I purchased that piece from the artist so that I could give it as a gift to my mother for her upcoming birthday. At the corner of the second hall, there was a food section where very traditional and unique dishes were being sold. I enjoyed tasting various sweet and savory dishes, especially the hot kashuris from the Rajasthan stall and sweet pisan laddus from the Uttar Pradesh stall. So also these related to India. I am glad that I got such a great opportunity in visiting this exhibition as I got to see the unique art and craft from various parts of the country. It made me understand the cultural diversity of our nation and left me feeling proud of our immense cultural heritage. As you can see, the way that person is writing the details and the way the person is describing it, we almost felt all that person felt during the exhibition. So this is how we're going to write a descriptive writing. So here are two prompts. You could choose one of them to practice writing a descriptive writing. For example, we all have been on a special trip that was so memorable to us and similar to the one you saw before in the model. Prompt B, today more and more artisans are leaving their craft and searching for other sources of work. So in 150 to 200 word expository essay, you talk about this problem and two ways in which it might affect our country, culture, and heritage, and provide practical solutions. Now, prompt B is an expository writing. Part A is a descriptive writing. Now, we already have done a descriptive writing, an expository writing. Now, I want you to look at the prompt at the beginning and see the difference, the way we would be talking maybe about the same topic, but the way we present it in a expository writing as a problem and a solution, and then the way we present it in a descriptive writing with all the figurative speech and all figures of speech and the language and the feelings. And you will be evaluated, of course, for writing your outline or chart, your ideas and organization, the language and style, the grammar, of course, handwriting, sentence structure, your neatness. So by the end of this session, I hope that everything was clear. You should be able now to identify the elements of descriptive writing, distinguish between expository and descriptive writing. You should be able to use sensory details and figures of speech in writing, and you should be able to write a well-organized descriptive essay. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.